You're listening to The Best Company Show, Southern California's business podcast, focusing on topics of interest to CEOs and managers of middle market companies, with your host, Robert J. Curtis.
And welcome again to The Best Company Show. I am your host, Robert J. Curtis, and we're glad to have you here again today. And I have with me a very special guest. His name is Howard Gordon of Gordon Hospitality Group, and he has a very notable past and present, a lot of experience in hospitality, and I'd love to explore it, and I want to find out what he has to say. So let me start by setting the tone. The tone is this. If there's any business in the world that requires 100% focus on customer service, it's a hospitality business. It's restaurants, hotels, anything related to that. And Howard has many years of experience dealing with some of the toughest and most difficult situations. Can I lead off by saying, you're one of the original guys at Cheesecake Factory, right?
You can.
And you told it to me. This is the way you stated. We took a bakery, a little small bakery, and we turned it into, by the time you left, 150, 160 restaurants. And it went literally global after that, or in the course of all of that. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of that you can bring to the table to tell us about this very tough business. And one of the things I want to dig into and find out more about, and that hopefully you can tell us more about, is the customer, the employee engagement experience, the customer engagement experience, all of that, and how that ties in together. Because the restaurant business is one of those businesses that everybody knows is so intensive on these factors. The employees are challenging, the customers are challenging, all around. It's a people business, right? So let's talk about it. Howard, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Let's start by telling me, why don't we go into it first? What are you doing now? We'll get to Cheesecake Factory in a minute, because that's your origins, and that's obviously a great success story of yours. But where are you now? What are you doing now?
Well, after Cheesecake Factory, and I know you said you're going to do it after, but
I want to go reverse order. Let's talk about what you're doing now.
I started a company that works with friends and in helping them get better at what they're doing, also helping them create concepts from logo to operation, and then also helping them scale their operations for growth nationally and internationally.
Okay. And you've been you're with Howard. You have your own consulting gig right now, and
I do.
You're literally I when I can get a word in with you, calling from Dubai or wherever it is, right, or all around the world, and also in the United States here with major restaurant groups that have undertaking ventures and doing various things. You're a very busy guy. And your restaurant, not only restaurant but hospitality. Ties in together. Is there a certain kind of client or a deal or opportunity that you look for when you're, in your current ventures?
Well, everything I do is by referral. So I only work with people that I know or that other friends of mine know. I don't have a website, and so it's very easy, for me to do what I do, because I can do, and especially through learning from Cheesecake Factory and many other places. I mean, I'm third generation in the restaurant business, and so I've been doing this a long time in my family, is when you know what you have to do and you have people that trust you to do that, it makes it a lot easier to get the job done. So it's fun.
And the kind of opportunities and the kind of clients and the kind of things you're dealing with, is there a certain size or scale or a location or anything or type of business or something that just gets you interested?
I do take a look. I don't take everything. So it really depends on what I'm working on at the time, what the challenge is. I love challenges. I love big projects. But I think the biggest thing is really making sure that the people that I'm working with understand what needs to be done and trust me to do it, and then we come up with an agreement and we start working on it and get it done.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to go back. I told you I was going to do this, right? Let's go back and talk about cheesecake because it's one of the most notable things on your resume. And I've only heard a little bit of the story. We've never had time to talk real serious about this, so I want to hear a little bit more. You started from literally one store, one shop, right?
Well, not me. My friend started the company with his parents. They were selling cheesecakes out of their basement in Detroit. He moved them out to California and then decided to leave law school. He was a drummer as well, but decided to set up a restaurant based around their cakes. I connected with him when we had 5 restaurants. I had a coffee and tea company at the time, and we started doing business with them. We became very good friends, and he said he needed some help in building a brand, and so I came on board and to help create new concepts, to also create business development, manage the brand, create the marketing, do lots of different things. We wore many different hats, and through that opened over 150 locations, and helped set up what they're doing today. So now they're over a $2 billion a year company, and doing very well.
As everybody knows, it's hard. It's hard to get into one of their restaurants.
It
actually.
is.
Okay, so you carried it from 5 stores up to was there a range there where because obviously you were there for quite a while, but then also you exited and now you're doing your own thing. What was the span? Was it from 5 up to 150, like I said, or 160?
Well, we opened 150 during my tenure. We opened 150 locations.
And that was it geographically limited? Was it or was
Around
it
the
all
United
across
States.
the United States? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you had a lot on your hands at the time.
We got to see places you normally would never go see.
At that point in your career, had you done that big of a venture, or had you already been dealing with larger chains and restaurant groups and things like that?
Nothing was like the Cheesecake Factory.
Right. So you and it exploded in a matter of number of years. I mean, it
took 15 years to open 3, which people don't realize. They think everything just happened overnight. But okay. There were 5 years that we opened 20 restaurants each year, which was the big push. And but the company went public in 1992 and has really never stopped from that point.
Right. Wonderful. That's great. So you had a lot of learning and adapting, and a lot of new challenges during that time. So what I'd love to do, if I can pick your brain for the next few minutes,
sure.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, what I want to do is dig in and find out more about the challenges you had, not only at Cheesecake Factory, especially at Cheesecake Factory, because that's a big event, but also in the current day of ventures and your consulting and various other things you're doing. Okay?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Let's do it. We'll be right back.
Robert J. Curtis is the founder and CEO of Alpha Quantix, a premier provider of employee analytics and metrics that helps CEOs and managers of middle market companies hire the best, manage the best, and be the best. Robert is a keynote speaker, presenter, moderator, and panel member who regularly appears at conferences, business events, and association meetings nationwide. His presentations provide powerful information that gives CEOs and managers of middle market companies valuable insights to improve their hiring and engagement skills. If you'd like Robert to make a personal appearance, he can be contacted by visiting his show's website, bestcompanyshow.com, or by emailing Robert at info@bestcompanyshow.com.
And welcome back to the Best Company Show. I have with me my special guest, Howard Gordon of Gordon Hospitality Group. And we were talking before the break about the hospitality industry and his experience with Cheesecake Factory. As a matter of fact, during the break, we got talking a little bit more because there's so much to talk about when it comes to Cheesecake Factory. And one of the things we're kind of exploring was why. What is it? What's the magic at the Cheesecake Factory? And what do you believe? Because obviously you were instrumental in creating this, right? I mean, when you took them to the first 150 stores or whatever, that was where the brand, the identity, the tempo, the a culture, all of that was developed during that time, right? And it's expanded and changed probably somewhat, but it's the core, right? You were there when the core was created. So tell me about it. What is it? What's the magic?
Great team. You can't do everything by yourself. You need a really wonderful leader, which David Overton is, and he still is. And, you know, he trusted people to do their jobs, but the final decisions were always his, so he knew what he wanted to do. And it's the most successful upscale casual dining restaurant company ever, and will always be that.
Yeah. But is there some kind of there's no such thing as a formula that works all the time, like a plug and play kind of thing. But is there if you had to attribute the success to a few things, obviously management and leadership skills, that's part of it. Are there elements of the restaurant experience, for example, or the restaurant culture, or things that you would attribute to that?
Well, you hit that. I mean, culture is huge. There are a lot of people that have been there for 20, 30, now somebody 40 years. So culture is big. And when you can keep people that long, that means that they're being taken care of well. They also believe in the product. We were there at a point where people thought that Cheesecake Factory was a place where they only served cheesecake, and then they come in and saw 200 items on a menu and went, whoa, that was fantastic. So, there's something for everyone on the menu. You can share about 80% of the food. Somebody takes it out. They don't finish the entire plate. So when you have great to-go bags, they last for a long time, and there are still people carrying the to-go bags from 25 years ago because they're very durable and they look great. So there's nothing that we didn't think of at the Cheesecake Factory that goes on right now, from the long lines to where things are placed in the restaurant, why things are served a certain way, how people are trained. And so in some businesses, it happens by chance, but not at the Cheesecake Factory.
Interesting. Okay, so it can't have been a perfect, easy road all the way down. It had to have. You had to have had challenges. I know it. Everybody knows. And anybody that's ever managed or worked in a business knows that it's not easy. There's a lot that goes on there.
Right.
Let's dig into that. I want to. One of the things I love to do on the show is talk about the challenges. Because we can all gloss over it and say, we're a great success story and we did these wonderful things and it was a tough road. But let's talk about the tough road. Of the things that you encountered over the years with Cheesecake Factory, or even currently, what are the big challenges that you see, in particular in the restaurant or hospitality business?
Making money. One of the things, it's a penny business, so you have to make lots of pennies, and which means that you also have to watch your costs. So everything from food costs, beverage costs, labor, utilities, rent, everything has to be considered. So a lot of times, people I work with have to just be made more aware of that, because if you don't control that, you're in trouble. Okay,
so but you've got a business where you have to deliver top-notch quality and service no matter what. I mean, even if you're in fast food, or whether whether you're in a high-end restaurant, it's all about delivering good quality or great quality and good service or great service, right? And it's all at a certain standard, but you have to do this under the gun with a limited budget, limited resources, and pinching pennies or whatever it might be. How do you do it? I mean, before we talk about how to do it, what are the that presents certain challenges, right? That fact is that you can't they're competing against each other. The fact that you have to deliver top-notch quality, top-notch product, everything else is totally competing with the fact that you can't pay your people as much money as you'd like to. You can't pay the product as much as you'd like to. You can't, do all these other things that you'd like to, because you have to keep your margins, which are, you have to meet your budget. So let's talk about that. I mean, what specific challenges does that bring us?
You have to have people coming in and spending money in order to make money.
Okay.
So if you're not offering people what it is that they want, they're not going to come in. And that entails everything from the way the restaurant looks, where its location is, who the staff are they friendly, how the training's been done, did they bring you the food the way you asked for it, are the prices what you think are affordable for what you got, and how did you feel when you paid the bill and left? Did you have a great experience? And so for any business, it's not just hospitality, any business, you take a look at it.
But doesn't hospitality present some special issues? And how does that come out, for example, in managing your people? So, if you can't pay them as much as you'd like to because of margins, but you also have to demand a lot out of them. Does that lead to conflict? Does that lead to problems retaining people? You just mentioned earlier on that, one of the great secrets one of the keys to success of Cheesecake was, and has been, keeping people. How do they do that? And what's the issue that comes up and how does it come up about keeping people? Right. Why don't they just walk out the door and go down the street? And don't they just threaten to do that on a daily basis or whatever it might be?
Let them do it. The thing is that if you're not taking care of your staff, that's what you're going to be getting. The thing is that when you take care of your people, you understand who they are, you give them a business to be proud of. But the other part of it is they're making money. In the restaurant business, you make tips, and so the more that the better you do, the better tips you give. Everybody knows that from going out. But I think really some of the bigger things was the growth that we had at Cheesecake Factory gave people the opportunity to grow with the company. And that's another part that's a bonus, because there were people that started out here in California and, there was a restaurant that opened in Washington, D.C., and that's where they're from. They had the opportunity to go back to where they were born. And there were a lot of people that wanted to do that. So the opportunities were there, as opposed to leaving a company and going somewhere else or going back somewhere and starting fresh again. They could grow with a growing, vibrant company.
Is there there's a lot of stories about turnover in the restaurant business and hospitality business in general, and turnover ratios, turnover being the number of people who are leaving and need to be replaced at a business, right? Do you have any indications, aside from Cheesecake Factory's success and all, do you see or know of a lot of reasons why that happens? Can you give me a list of, hey, here's why they leave? Is it just for the 50 cents down the street? Is it just for making a few more tips? A lot of times maybe it is. Are there other factors, other things?
Well, I think like I was just talking about is that when you believe in a company, you believe in the culture, you see the growth in a company and they're actually doing very well, and that there's a future, that helps a lot. In some places, they go where there's 50 cents, $1 more, just to do that. Mm-hmm. But that's very short-minded, and I think nowadays it happens, but it doesn't happen as much. I think people are looking for stability, mm-hmm. and and companies need to just be smarter at how they, what kind of incentives they give to their staff in order for them to stay.
Did you find yourself in a situation like a Cheesecake where you were able to kind of ride on the general overall success of the business to kind of bring people along and open up those opportunities? What if you're in a situation where you're in, say, in the first, 15 years, where it takes 15 years to open 3 stores? Mm-hmm. You're dealing with a staff that, they're not seeing this rapid expansion or growth and all these opportunities to go back and live in D.C.
So sometimes that doesn't happen. It's going to be, but when people tie themselves to companies that are successful, you look at Google, you look at Cheesecake Factory, you look at, lots of businesses that are constantly growing and hiring people. Now, are those people going to stay for 20, 30 years? I don't know. But the thing is that when they're there, are they being utilized to the best of their ability? Are they giving 100%? And are you doing what you can do? Because if you lose people, then you have to spend more money in retraining somebody else. So there's obviously a benefit for keeping your staff, hiring correctly. And, so there's a lot to be said for knowing your business and who to hire.
How about knowing the people? The fact is, in a business that you're talking about, especially when you get up to hundreds of restaurants and that size, you can't possibly know everybody, right? You got to kind of use kind of some methods to kind of get around and avoid being in front of everybody all the time, right? Because you have other things to do, right?
Well, yeah,
or should you?
on a daily basis, sure. That's why you have layers of management, and you have a general manager for every restaurant, and they're in charge of that restaurant. But as executives, there were things that we did at Cheesecake Factory that we would have yearly meetings. We would have things that were done, on the internet. There were things that were done internally that they could see. But they could always be in touch. One of the things I was setting up, that I set up, was the ability to be able to connect corporate to the restaurants, and traveled as I traveled. Would actually sit down with the general managers, other managers, and different staff members, just to see how they're doing, see if they had any questions, and it was really rewarding.
So, but did it help out? I mean, the fact that, you're spending a lot of time, investing a lot of time, do you think there was a payoff there between actually you getting in there and, were you going to like all the stores and meeting all these people?
Well, I did at some point. I didn't do that on a steady basis. I had a lot of other things to do. But when we were traveling, if we were in a city, we would make it a point to go to all the restaurants that were in that city.
So you did. You went around and you met all these people, and it really had an impact, do you think?
Totally.
Uh-huh. And so, what was the impact? Increasing engagement?
People stayed. Yeah, people grew with the company.
Is it because they felt that they knew you and they felt a connection? Is that part of it?
Well, they felt a connection with the company. I think anybody can be replaced, and you can do a fantastic job, but if you don't own the company, you're working for the company. And so I was, again, one of the team. Think I did a great job, and but it's really about the team. It's about the culture. It's about really having people understand that they can have a really good life being with you.
Good. Well, that's great. It's great to hear, because I'm also a big advocate for understanding your people and knowing your people better and
Sure.
working with them and trying to get to them better. And it's good to know that you can actually do that on a large scale, like what you're talking about, although it's obviously challenging. Okay, let's do this real quick. We're going to take a break. Before we take a break, what I want to do is I want you to let people know how to reach you, so that if they have questions, they want to follow up and learn more about you, they can do it. How do we reach you?
Real simple email, hgordon, HGORDON @me.com. So
Okay.
very simple.
That's it. And that's for the Gordon Hospitality Group, me. Okay, so everybody out there who's listening and would be interested in following up and giving comments and feedback about the show, I'd love to hear it. And you can reach out and find the show and give your feedback at bestcompanyshow.com, as well as finding me personally on LinkedIn at Robert J. Curtis is my name, and make sure you include the J, because there's a lot of others out there without the J. And why don't we do this? We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk about, well, we'll give you the hot seat question. How about that? That's what we need to do today.
Sounds good.
All right, I have a good one for you.
Robert J. Curtis is the founder and CEO of Alpha Quantix, a premier provider of employee analytics and metrics that helps CEOs and managers of middle market companies hire the best, manage the best, and be the best. Robert is a keynote speaker, presenter, moderator, and panel member who regularly appears at conferences, business events, and association meetings nationwide. His presentations provide powerful information that gives CEOs and managers of middle market companies valuable insights to improve their hiring and engagement skills. If you'd like Robert to make a personal appearance, he can be contacted by visiting his show's website, bestcompanyshow.com, or by emailing Robert at info@bestcompanyshow.com.
Okay, and welcome back to the Best Company Show. I am your host, Robert J. Curtis, and we have our special guest, Howard Gordon, here of Gordon Hospitality Group and Cheesecake Factory fame, with us this morning. And we're at the point where we're going to give him the hot seat question. Hopefully he can handle it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, oh, no, I think you'll be able to do it. Howard, it has to do with hospitality in particular, so you better be able to handle it. If anybody can handle it, it's going to be you. Okay, so here's the thing. In the Wall Street Journal this morning, there was an article about robotics and automation coming into the restaurant business in particular. And they were talking about a lot of different angles. Okay. They have a hamburger flipping a robot now called Flippy, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
They have kiosks that are taking orders. And they have a lot of other kind of functionality coming to the workplace. And we just got done talking about how people are so important, and this is about quality and service. What's going to happen here? To me, I think that I don't have a particular problem with the automation and all in general, but I think it's going to put tremendous strain on the people part of the business, the managers in particular, what they're going to do, how they're going to handle it. What's your take on it? I mean, is it good, bad, ugly?
No, I think it's it's progress. It's been happening for decades. There are pizza machines, and I think even Pizza Hut uses them. But you put the pizza on one end. By the time it comes out the other end, it's cooked. It doesn't need somebody inside the oven and turning it and doing all that stuff. So automation has been in the industry for a long time. I think now they're finding different ways to really affect labor costs because labor costs are high. So the Flippy that you were talking about, I always get a kick out of seeing something flip hamburgers over. But it's the kiosks, I think, are a bigger part of technology that are just becoming more and more a part of the life of quick service. So it allows people to be able to go up, order, not wait online, and then be able to get their food, but makes them feel a little bit better. There's still the battle between do you want to talk to somebody, and especially if your order is not straightforward, and making sure that they understand it. But then on the other side is sometimes even when you do that, they don't get it right. So sometimes the machinery is much better. Like I ordered dinner online last night for delivery, and everything was perfect. So I wrote some instructions. They were able to read it. I think the technology is good. What they're going to come up with, not sure, because really in the service business, people want to see people. They want to work with people. They want to be able to interact, and that's part of the experience of going out to eat.
And okay, and also, what about on the business side of things? The people want to work with people. The managers want to manage people. They don't necessarily. It's a whole different world if you're in control of a bunch of robots, and you're managing robots, and you're trying to get them to integrate with people. And I mean, especially with most of the people in the restaurant industry are probably not. There might be technology savvy in that they use it. But when it rises to the level of robotics and very sophisticated things, that's not something high on their list. So you've as a manager or an owner in this business, as it gets more technological, don't you think that's going to present issues?
Well, I mean, jokingly, sometimes friends of mine and I say that if we didn't have employees, it would make this business a lot easier. But
I think every business owner,
because I think any business owner has that. So how do you make it worthwhile? You have to have people doing things. I was talking to you earlier. Take a look at times before the computer, before the internet, before social media. How did you do things? You needed people to do it. Now, you still need people to do it, but you have technology that's helping them. So I still think that even with technology, you have people. And so, but managers are managing a business, not just people. And so they have to take a look at the people. They have to take a look at the, all the expenses. They have to take a look at the money coming in. I mean, it's like there's many, many things that they have to watch. And that's part of their job.
Can you weigh in on this and give me, and maybe your answer is you don't know, but would you say that the technology is going to make things more challenging or more easy, more smooth when it comes to being a manager and being an owner of a restaurant or a hospitality business?
Well, unfortunately, sometimes the bigger companies can afford that kind of technology. And so, I mean, you're not going to find a mom and pop hamburger place getting Flippy. They're going to flip their own burgers. So the business has to be there. It has to be, capital expensed. So you're looking at large businesses for this type of technology. If there comes a point where there are things like kiosks, the POS is big for any business that can do that can help any of the staff along with helping the guest. So there are things right now that are happening, but the actual ones you're talking about, I think, this is still a beginning stage.
Okay, so even at the beginning stage here, is it? You think it's going to be a rough road to begin with, and then they'll get better at it? You think that it actually, as they implement, it's going to be a fairly easy, good solution? I mean, bring in a pizza machine in that takes a pizza and raw pizza on one end and cooks it, and the other sounds fairly simple. Yes, you might have a few issues, but then when you're talking about a lot more robotic innovation and all that, there's a lot of working parts and moving pieces and things like that change and that make it more challenging. And I have a fear that as the adoption comes on, you could be presenting just as many problems as you're trying to solve with this technology.
Again, understanding the technology is going to be paramount, and really what it's going to do. I mean, they're taking a look at what are some of the things that they could get a piece of equipment to do. When somebody's just flipping burgers, that could be a good thing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that operates. But I still think that you need people to manage any of the robotics.
Yeah, and then in my mind, I don't know if I can get past it. I think there's going to be challenges with that integration, and
there always are.
The force of things,
of course.
Yeah. And then you just have to learn and work your way around it. Now, for a guy like you that's been gone from 5 stores to 150 and gone global and all of this, it obviously is something that is within your ability and your skills to adapt and everything. And I guess we all kind of have to learn to be a little bit more like you, I guess, in that sense.
Well, you just have to be up for change. I mean, one of the things about the hospitality business is that you have to accept change. A lot of times people don't, do that well. And so for us, it's about just think about it. All of a sudden you come into a restaurant, something didn't happen, we have to take care of you right away. It isn't like you ordered some shoes from Amazon and then in a week you can return them and you don't talk to anybody. It's instantaneous. And so it's that same type of thing. Is the robotics going to help, the restaurant or the business with their needs? And the whole thing is, like we talked about, you have to take care of your guest and provide an experience that has them want to come back and be your word-of-mouth advertiser.
Okay, if I may sum it up then, the 2 messages for today really are about the people and making sure they're engaged and they're sticking around, like at some of the places you've been, sticking around for not only years but decades and working on that. And also when it comes to the business in general is being agile, being adaptable, and working as progress comes and hits you, right? And you take advantage of it. That's neat. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for that really insightful information. I love your input and your responses and everything. Great. What I want to do is one last time tell everybody how to reach out to you and me. And then thank everybody. First off, thank you very much, Howard, for being on the show.
Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate being here.
You've been a great guest. Tell us how to reach you.
My email is hgordon@me.com or on LinkedIn for Howard Gordon. And that's it.
That's how to reach you. Okay, same here. We got bestcompanyshow.com is the way to reach out, give us input, give us suggestions for future guests. Also, reach out to me individually at LinkedIn. The same thing, Robert J. Curtis. And we look forward to seeing you on future shows. The special thanks go out to Paul Roberts, the engineer who helps put on the show every week, and also the producer, Roland Canamar, who helps out behind the scenes in a lot of different ways from Silver Dream Factory, the studios here in Anaheim. And we want to thank everybody. And thank you for the listener and viewer for watching and listening. We're glad to have you here. And may all your future business endeavors be the best they possibly can be. Thank you for watching and listening.
You've been listening to The Best Company Show, Southern California's business podcast, focusing on topics of interest to CEOs and managers of middle market companies, with your host, Robert J. Curtis.
use the Premier Rewards Gold Card from American Express, the rewards points can keep on multiplying. Buy 3 with triple points on airfare. Buy 2 with double points on gas and groceries. And a single point for pretty much every other dollar you spend on the card. Then, start choosing from over 1 million rewards to redeem all those points. Apply today and the annual fee for the first year is on us. Call 1-800-AXP-GOLD or visit AXPGold.com. The annual fee for the card is $175. See terms, conditions, and restrictions at AXPGold.com.